And on that note, happy birthday, Phil Farda.
Happy birthday, Phil. It's our friend's birthday. Phil Farda.
Yay!
Yay. That's all I got. Happy
Funniest
birthday, Phil.
man in the 315.
I love him.
It's his birthday today.
Yeah.
So we celebrated his birthday actually this weekend. We went out with a bunch of folks, and I want to talk about this because we, to celebrate, we had some food at a great restaurant in Utica, but then we went to this new pinball arcade business.
Oh, I didn't know
Marcy.
you went there.
Yeah. Two Cousins, it's called. Now, here's a funny story. While I was there, I actually ran into one of my cousins.
That's
fucking. That's a true story. And you want to talk about truth in advertising? I mean, this place really nailed it. But
that's unbelievable. Sorry, my head's exploding. So it's called Two Cousins.
That's the name of the business.
You went there, and unplanned, you ran into one of your cousins.
Yeah.
So there were two cousins there.
It's true.
This is unbelievable.
My cousin Carrie and her family. Yep. But anyway, we were there.
Don't go to Dick's Sporting Goods.
Jesus.
It's fine.
That's good. That was good. So we were there for Phil's birthday party. We brought a group of people, and it was really cool. So how the place works is it's an unlimited play. You know, you can either buy an hour or you can buy forever, I guess, well, that day. So I think it was like $15 for an hour, $25 for unlimited play. There's no quarters, there's none of that. So all the machines, you just walk up and play a game, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
They had a really good number of machines. So there was a good crowd. I mean, we brought 10 people, and there was a good number of people in there. But still, there was always at least one machine available you could walk up to and play a game. You didn't have to really wait. And, you know, I don't know that we played all that. We only played for an hour. And I don't know that I hit every machine. So
you tried.
Yeah, I tried to, as much as there's a few that I really liked, you know, and you play a couple games on them, but really in a place like that, it's like, just move on and, you know, give other people a chance, but also try all the different ones. So
is it more of like an arcade feel, or is it like more of a bar room with?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's definitely not a bar. They don't have a bar, is my understanding. They did have a separate room where they had some food, pizza, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the main area, it is, I guess you'd say, a lot like kind of an old school arcade. So they had the games around the perimeter of the room. In the middle of the room, they had like an air hockey table, foosball table, some seating where you could just sort of hang out.
Strictly pinball, or do they have other arcade games?
They had just a couple other games. Everything else is pinball.
It's kind of like when you go to like a seafood restaurant, they throw a couple chicken dishes on the menu just to make everybody happy.
Well, I mean, I think that's their main focus is pinball, which is cool as hell. But
so I mean, I consider myself a bit of a gamer. And I mean, if you were a 90s kid, you definitely loved arcades. Is there, I've never really thought about this. Is there like the holy grail of pinball machines? You know what I mean? Like, is there one that's like the Babe Ruth rookie card?
I'm sure there is.
But you don't know which one.
As much as I've enjoyed playing in the last month, I went to Vegas. I went to the Pinball Hall of Fame there. I'm not like a pinball aficionado to that degree. I bet there is, though. I'd be interested.
I'd love
to find that out.
Yeah, if we get them on the show, we'll have to ask them.
Because I'll tell you what I really loved the most when I was at the Pinball Hall of Fame, and same here at this place, they had a couple in this vein were the very old machines. The machines from like the 70s.
Yes.
And the reason why is they're a little different. You know, some of them are actually totally wood, and they're definitely more simple. But I don't know. I found them to be a lot more fun, and they had a few of those kind of classic ones. You know, they've got the space characters. That's that classic 70s cartoon style character, and it's I don't know. To me, that's kind of fun. So
no, it's absolutely awesome. And I'm curious to know, like, do you think that maybe you would have been like, do you think you went to Two Cousins first and then went to Vegas? Like, because you went to Vegas, you went to like the Mecca, and then you went to Two Cousins. And I'm not slighting, you know, Two Cousins by any means, but did that take away from it?
Not at all. What was funny is I bought a Pinball Hall of Fame shirt when I was in Vegas, and I wore that when we went there.
Nice.
And I told my wife, you watch, I'm going to look like a ringer walking in with it.
Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, we walked through the door, and the owner of the place came up to me and started asking me about it. He hadn't been there, so he was asking me, you know, what they had to offer and how it was set up and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. But no, I don't think it, you know, obviously the one in Vegas has immensely more machines.
Yeah.
But like I said, we played for a good long time and didn't hit the same thing twice. So I think that was a pretty solid
There's
experience.
there's a handful of arcade games that are, I mean, huge nostalgia to me, and it's probably based around the Sangertown Mall in Utica, New York, because that's where I grew up. But I also, I remember going to bowling alleys. My mom was in a bowling
that was
league
right next
at
to
the
the
Panorama.
theater at
Yes.
the mall.
right around the corner from
At
Taco
some
Bell.
point, they had like another one across the hall.
Yes.
Sort of came and went. But the core one was that one
Yeah,
that had been.
it was the best. But I would say for me, like
that is an arcade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I asked, is there a holy grail of pinball machines? For me, there's like a handful of holy grails of just straight arcade games.
Yeah.
For me, it's like when I think back to my child, I think of the Aerosmith gun game. Remember the Aerosmith?
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Made no sense, like why they threw Aerosmith in this gun shooting game. I loved the Ninja Turtles, where you could play 4 players.
That is a classic.
That was a classic. I would say WrestleMania. WrestleMania, kind of same deal. You could play 4 across. I know I'm missing one. That's a real.
And there were the classics like Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
the
Street Fighter.
I see like there's always some kind of Terminator shooting game.
Yep. Street Fighter.
But in terms of I don't know. Danny's the king of retro games.
He's also 10 years younger though. So
you got any input on this, buddy? Is there any particular like arcade machine that's really well known?
Yeah, one of them is the Simpsons.
Yes,
Okay.
I was going to go there next.
That's an iconic arcade one. It's the 4-player Simpsons one. You'd see like Soul Calibur in there along with the Mortal Kombat arcade cabinets. I feel like in a good arcade, you would want to see a Donkey Kong arcade cabinet and
Couldn't agree more.
a Miss Pac-Man and Galaga combo. I feel like that was very common back then.
Yeah,
He's hitting all the hits.
He is hitting all the hits.
There's one I want to ask Danny. You might know down at 3 Lives downtown, kind of the gamer bar. If you haven't been there, we're talking about a slightly different place now, but downtown Syracuse is totally cool. They had this one though that was a Japanese game that I personally wasn't familiar with, but apparently was super hot, very the arcade Japanese game to play. Do you remember what it's called by any chance?
Hope it was it 1941?
It's like no, Jesus.
No, literally there was a game called 1941.
It's something that
and I wanted to make a Pearl Harbor joke. That's obvious.
And I'm not one of them, so I don't know if you know what it is.
I don't know off the top of my head.
We're gonna have to.
I'm not kidding you. It might be 19.
Add them to the list because that's one of the coolest places in Syracuse.
All right.
We need to do some cool stuff with that.
I do remember there was always, I feel like every arcade I went to, there was this shooting game that really wasn't that good, but every arcade had it. There was a blue gun and a red gun.
That's the Terminator one.
No, I feel like if it was, I would have loved the Terminator. It was
You're thinking of Time Splitters?
That sounds right.
Yeah, Time Splitters.
Okay. Was there a pedal you stepped on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like
Hated
6 or 7 Time Splitters.
The greatest one I ever played was down near the city. My mom's family was close to the city. This was in the 90s. It was and you got to remember back then this was like mind blowing. It was so you watch this video where you were in the Wild West with this old guy who was a prospector, and he was kind of the host of the game, and you would go through this town and you would shoot the old school, where they go, and then they fall. But it was live video, and it was just the coolest. Like now I see all the games and it's so outdated, but that was one I forget what it was called, but
we need to find. I'm going to put this out there right now. We need to find a gaming sponsor who would cover the costs, and will aggressively advertise their brand, of course.
Okay.
But cover the costs for us to do some dedicated arcade content. Like I want us to travel to some of the unfortunately few, or maybe growing number, as we're talking about the 2 Cousins just opening up. I feel like maybe this is something coming back, but
I don't know.
We should do a sort of road trip tour style, because like there's a place in Old Forge that's kind of a classic old arcade. It's pretty cool. There's
near Enchanted Forest.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these random places.
Sylvan Beach
still exist.
Sylvan Beach. My parents lived there. There's
is that still they still
the
got
carousel with all the arcade games. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, that place
legendary.
But something like that I would love to do and really highlight some of these things and find that out, because
that would be great.
I know there's got to be one of these or a few of these kind of holy grail.
Grail. there's also a ton of, because, back in my drinking days, there are a ton of dive bars everywhere in this country, but definitely in New York State. You'll find some random gem arcade games in a dive bar. You'll be like, how is this
It's
here?
funny you mention that, because I was going to say this is not necessarily an arcade game, but if you want to talk about the really well-known OG, it's going to be
Shuffle?
Topgolf.
Oh, I was going to say shuffleboard.
In the bars, though.
Oh, you're talking about Golden Tee.
Golden Tee.
Golden Tee.
Golden Tee.
Hell yeah.
Not in the arcades,
No.
but in the bars. It had a massive, massive following in tournaments and
Oh, dude. I bartended for so many. People would get in fights over that game because it had a modem, so you could play like your score uploaded to like a worldwide leaderboard, and these guys, man, these regulars took it so serious.
Yeah. They figured it out.
One guy had a meltdown because he put the wrong initials in for the leaderboard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he had no one to fight but himself, so he just took it out on everyone else.
Right.
It was great.
They were one of the only, really, of that style game that sort of embraced that connectivity, at least at that time.
You're absolutely right. They were one of the first.
That's pretty wild.
And you're right. Like if you saw Golden Tee, Gold Tee, I think it's Golden.
I think you're right. Golden Tee.
If you saw it in an arcade, it didn't
I said
have
Topgolf. That's the actual golf.
Yes. It has the same allure. It doesn't have the same allure as when you see it in a bar. Like it belongs in a bar.
Right.
I thought you were going to say shuffleboard. I love an old school shuffleboard in a bar. Like the real deal.
Remember they had the electronic, the bowling?
Oh,
The shuffleboard style bowling that was like the puck. They had the back room at Brownies. Remember that?
I will die on this hill. The absolute best barroom game is the plastic dome hockey, USA versus Canada.
Okay.
That to me is for infinity. It's one of the greatest games you can play. I don't care what age you are.
See,
I just came across one in Canada not long ago. We went to Niagara Falls over the holidays, and they had one, and I could not believe it. I shit my pants, and not because I was excited. I have IBS, but I also played that game, and it was great. You know what I'm talking about? The plastic dome.
Yeah.
And and they got the it's magical.
And on that note, happy birthday, Phil Farda.
Happy birthday, Phil.